Hi guys, bringing you a video today on the reproduction British Army Iron Ration, which I use for my First World War reenacting. This is the Iron Ration as it appeared post-October 1915. The British Army Iron Ration was basically an emergency ration which was to be carried in the haversack of the 1908 or 1903 bandolier or the 1914 pattern leather equipment. And it was intended as an emergency ration and could only be consumed on the orders of an officer. And from 1915, it consisted of the items you see here. These are, of course, reproduction, modern production, which I will run through the origin of them if you're interested in putting something like this together yourself for reenacting. You have 12 ounces of biscuit, army biscuit, a pound of preserved meat, in this case corned beef, and then you have 2 ounces of sugar and 5/8 of an ounce of tea. So starting with the tin, this is a modern corned beef tin with a reproduction label from Tommy's Pack Fillers. I'll put a link to the Tommy's Pack Fillers website in the description. They make all sorts of labels for which will fit onto modern tins to provide a representation of period rations. Most of the food provided was from civilian manufacturers and often included the civilian labelling, and this is a 1916 onwards tin, I think, so this ration, as you see here, would be right from the mid-war period going on. Let's say Fray Bantos, you can see all the details here reproduced. This one's a little bit beaten up now, it's been on the tin for a while. This tin is a Morrison's tin of corned beef, which I used wire wool to remove the marking on the top, which obviously said the region that it had come from. I think it was Brazil, and taken off the sort of lacquer, and it's given this sort of slightly weathered look, which is good. It looks perfectly adequate for what I need it for. It's good representation. The biscuits are from a company called Trek and Eat, and these are flour and water biscuits, slightly sweetened, which makes them different from the originals, which were just plain. They are not a bad representation, however. They're a little bit small. They should probably do with a 1/4 inch or a centimetre on each side, or a 1/2 inch even on each side to give them the right size, but they're not far off at all, and they're a good sort of representation in terms of density and things like this. And so they've kept them in a bag for a while, and they haven't gone stale, and they've not gone soft as the originals wouldn't have done, so they've lasted in that regard as well, which is good. And they say they're not a bad representation of the originals. Then you have the little packets of tea and sugar. I made these out of a paper from a brown envelope, which seems to be roughly the right sort of consistency, and obviously this waxy finish to it. So that has loose tea in it from, I think, 4 tea bags it took to get 5/8 of an ounce, and that's carried in there. And then little, as you can possibly hear in there, that's actually got sugar in. So that's the 2 packs there. Now earlier in the war they would be carried in a metal tin, and this is set up for later war, and I believe that the tins started to go out of use. Certainly you were issued one, and then you kept it, and when you received the grocery ration in the packets like this, you would then keep it in your haversack inside the tin, but obviously the tins wore out. So in this late iteration I just put these in the ration bag with the biscuits when doing a display, or alongside the biscuits to display them. So that's basically it. That's the British Army reproduction of the British Army post-October 1915 Iron Ration, which was carried in the haversack as an emergency ration. And I say, in addition to this, you'd be issued daily rations, which often consisted of more tinned beef, more biscuit, and so on, cheese and things like this, tinned cheese and so on. That's a topic for another video, perhaps. And you'd also might be issued special rations. You might be given a second sort of iron ration, or a second issue of rations, including other items as well, depending on the operations you were involved with and so on, and depending how long you expected to go without resupply. So yes, but this is the British Army Iron Ration, which is carried in the haversack to be consumed on the orders of an officer if need arose. So it's part of the basic kit in that regard, which is why I have it and why I use it for display. So there it is. I hope you found that useful and interesting if you're looking at reproducing something like this yourself for reenacting. And until next time, bye for now.